Om. Gayatri Mahamantra. With your back straight, both hands in your laps, left beneath your right. Close your eyes. Om Bhurabhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Invocation of the Divine Master Adiguru Muni Vedyas. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Gurudeva Maheshwara Gurudeva Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namo Namaha Om Shri Guruve Namo Namaha Avahayami Sthapyami Dhyayami Pujyami Tato Namaskaram Karomi. We start with the chapter number 9, verse number 8. Before I come to the text of the scripture, let an understanding prevail beforehand so that it shall take just a while to connect. And secondly, there is a larger understanding that I would like to enjoin along with the text of this particular verse number 8. We all today understand what is programming, irrespective of the age. Right from a very tender age, even kids have now started understanding what is programming. Although the connotation of the word program was entirely different around 3.5 decades ago, it was entirely different. In the beginning of 1980s, nobody will be able to associate the program and programming with something which has to now concern with exclusively domain of softwares. Program was an event, some opportunity to come across, get together, etc. But today programming has a very large and expensive meaning which directly associates with softwares. In the programming, we have the program and we have the programmer. Programmer, through his programming or their programming, create a program in the form of a software which has an outward part known as application, which is rendered before the common users to make use of. And almost everything that we use with the handheld devices is based upon the applications. Even the applications have intervened successfully in abundance upon laptop. That means even on the Windows-based or Linux-based or IO-based applications have their exclusive domain now. A programmer constitutes or programs a particular program. After that, the program is independent of the programmer. There are interventions by the programmer into the program to the extent that a programmer can upgrade it, update it, modify it, or create another version of the same program or the application. Whereas the person who is using the application, one who is the end user, is merely confined to whatever features are made available to them. They cannot go beyond them. Their wish, their seeking, their prerogative is circumscribed by whatever is made available to them. They cannot go beyond that. You and me, we use many applications every day on handheld devices like Facebook, YouTube, Gmail, WhatsApp, and so on. And we all know they have several features. But if we want to introduce a new feature, we cannot do so on our own. Even if some third-party application has to be deployed, that too is under the mandate of the original party, for example, Facebook or YouTube. So we have a limitation at the user end that we cannot exceed the ambit given to us to utilize or to get services from the application. Whereas the programmer at the back end has got the prerogative to create a modification, to create an alteration, or to upgrade it for several new vulnerabilities, or bring in certain patches which can bring certain new features into the application. So the programmer has got absolute control upon his application, his, her, or their application. User, on the other hand, has got a very limited control upon the application. And the program has its own entity which runs according to the limitations which have already been drawn by the programmer. This is all that we very well understand. I'm not talking something new. I'm not bringing anything new to your notices, something which you can say I've learned it for the first time in my life. No, you already know not only the information I passed on, but maybe much beyond than I've mentioned right now. Now, the user has no discretion to intervene into the programming. I've already said that. Now, this is all about the applications and programs on this mortal plane, which are under the degenerative process of degeneration. Maybe they become obsolete or there are new vulnerabilities. So the principle is they are degenerating, whether in terms of technological advancement or vulnerability, whatever, addition of feature, but they're in the process of degeneration. That is for sure. Now comes a comparison which we must be able to draw of this creation. This creation is a resolve of the creator, the Brahma. He programmed a program by the name Prakriti. Prakriti is the name that was coined by our great exalted masters. He programmed a program by the name Prakriti. He also was a programmer who programmed it, initiated upon its programming. Now, the difference between the program which on the mortal plane is created and managed by the human and the one by the creator is that the creator's program is all inclusive and conclusive. There is no need for any kind of patch, upgrade, any kind of an update, or to release a new patch of vulnerability, or to bring in a new version, or to add any features. This is all inclusive and totally conclusive. Programmed once is there to run for eternity. From 3 dots till 3 dots. In between, I am present over here. You are listening to me. We are all in between. Before us precede 3 dots and after us again 3 dots. Eternity flows. In the creator's program, being totally all-inclusive and conclusive, there is no need for anything to be done thereafter. The program is so powerful, it manages the entirety. The Prakriti manages entirety. Its impel is so strong that nobody can move away from it. On the other hand, as a human, when we use certain programs or applications, we have a choice. We may not use that application. We can even still sustain and live without using that application. For example, if you say, I take a vow not to be available to and not to be available on social media. So I totally give myself a disconnect from all social media platforms. That's your choice. You can still cherish your life, even devoid of that. That was already happening with you. Whereas on the contrary, with the program, the Prakriti, which was created by the Almighty, it is not possible. You are absolutely entrapped into that, enveloped by it. There is no release for you. You have to move under the impel of the program, which is Prakriti. You cannot go beyond that. But there's a difference. Again, a difference. The difference is that under the programs or applications created by humans, the end user has no prerogative to create any alteration. He has to go by whatever is made available to him or her. On the contrary, with the program of the creator, the Brahma, the end user, that is Jivatma, under the process of evolution, which is continuous, when they manifest, Jivatma manifests as a human, in the form of a human, they acquire a very special discretionary power and an ability known as choice. Choice and choice. Vested with choice, the same end user gathers an opportunity to even relinquish and bail out of this entrapment which is there for since and for eternity, which is not possible on the contrary with the human-made applications and programs. The end user once and forever shall remain the end user, will not become the programmer. End user, if at all, is also a programmer, is a different thing, but in common parlance, the all end users are not programmers for that application, maybe some specific person or a team. Whereas in this case, each and every human soul manifested in the form of a human beholds exclusive and absolute prerogative to relinquish, pierce, tear apart the envelope, the entrapment, and bail out forever. That is termed as emancipation, Atmano Mokshartha, forever. So there are certain differences which you must understand. The program created by the creator runs absolutely independent from the creator with no relationship of any kind. The creator, the Brahma, has no relationship. He created all inclusive and conclusive program once and forever, and now has nothing to do with it. The program with its own programming is running through eternity for eternity, and under its impel, all those that fall cannot be released unless they exercise their choice, their prerogative, once they are manifested as a human in the process of evolution. Which, on contrary, by the programs created by humans is not possible. Not only that, they have to keep updating their programs, remove vulnerabilities, they have to revise or create new versions, but at the same time, their end users will always and forever remain end user. And the programs created by humans are prone to degeneration. Whereas the program created by the Almighty, although is under the mandate of degeneration, but there is a but associated with this, and that but is that even after the moment when there is total dissolution, absolute dissolution, pralay, absolute involution. I'm not talking about evolution, I'm talking about involution is pralay. Even after absolute involution, everything shall come and manifest the same way as it was before the moment of involution. All the souls that seem to be perished in gross form shall reappear again with their old accounts that were not settled in the previous life, shall now be settled in the lives to come. And this is a part of all-inclusive and the conclusive program created by the Almighty. So, although the program created by Almighty is also under the mandate of degeneration, like human program, but even under the degeneration program, there is no need for the creator to intervene. Now my program has undergone total involution. Now I must ask it to unfold, unravel, and open up again. No, that too is the part of the programming, inherited into the programming. After this considerable period of time of so many billion years, when the nature shall lose its fertility to sustain itself, then it must undergo a total involution. to make it become fallow for the moment that it can gather its lost rejuvenation and remanifest in the same way. Now, having said that, by drawing a comparative understanding of the word programming gathered from the mortal plane and to compare it with something which is of the absolute subtle dimension, as mentioned by exalted masters, we now give us an understanding how, under the impel of nature, everything works. And a human is not only human, all beings for that matter, not only being in the form of matter, consciousness, everything which falls under the entrapment has to work compulsively under the mandate of the program, which is nature, Prakriti, and it is forced to act the same way. You cannot say that I have relinquished myself from hunger, sleep, lust, that is procreation, and so on, and fear, etc. These are natural instincts which are going to cast their impel. You cannot easily bail out yourself from hard earned propensities since past several lives. No, you cannot. It takes its own time. It takes its own time. That is why in sadhana, the term we refer for sadhana is you are into an exercise where you're bound to fail. What is sadhana? Sadhana is a pursuit where you have to fail. What do you mean to say that we have to fail? Does it mean that failure is sadhana? Yeah, because success is siddhi. The success is perfection. Before perfection, the perpetuating flow, which is almost seems to be endless initially, although it is not endless, but seems to be endless initially, is sadhana. All your efforts, your endeavors that seem to be going in vain, not getting adequate results. Every time you make an attempt and you fail, you go on making attempts. I compared it with the land as they reclaim from the sea. When they reclaim the land from the sea, what do? They start dumping stones into the water. So does everything happen instantly? No. They go on dumping stones till stone upon another, rise to the level that it comes and pierces the level of the water. Once it pierces, whatever height they want to gather, they gather and they say, now this piece of land has been reclaimed from the water. Till then, every single pebble or every single stone that you dump into the water, it drowns, goes and settles at the bottom. Although nothing goes in vain, but nothing even surfaces. At the level of the sea, at the sea level, nothing appears. You may say, I have already dumped 10,000 stones. Where have they gone? Have they gone down to the drain? Nothing appears. There's nothing which has come up. But if you go and try to have a look underwater, you will be able to notice that all that has gone down has been dumped upon the floor of the sea and now has gathered a sufficient height. Go on by the same endeavor, keep following the same way, and you shall certainly see a land reclaimed, a portion of land reclaimed from the sea. Till then, everything appears to be going down the drain. So, to a visible eye, standing ashore, all efforts are going down the drain. It is failure. But for the wise one, they know it is all under erection, creation, happening. Once an occurrence will surface, you will be able to stand a testimony to that. Now, having said that, even in the spiritual pursuit, the same thing happens with us. Why am I mentioning this? Does this verse also contain this essence? See, I told you in the initial stage of while I started upon this session that I am going to slightly add on a kind of an add-on which will certainly expand the meaning of this particular verse. This verse has got three words which bring in the compulsive aspect, where it shows that a human is entrapped, where it shows that you have no say, you are under the absolute impel of the nature. So you have no say there. You are totally leached. So I want to bring in the ambit of that entrapment, the scope of that entrapment for a human who is in this spiritual pursuit, but not getting anything, any outcome which one can say is tangible enough now to convey me or convince me that I have truly evolved spiritually and now my emancipation is right there up front. I am standing at the threshold of emancipation. For all those seekers, in order to slightly give more radiance to those three words, which are totally dark in the initial understanding, in the peripheral understanding, I wanted to give it some radiance so that you do not understand that I am entrapped and I shall remain entrapped forever. And I know that all my efforts are can be held as testimony. I have been trying in my spiritual pursuit for the past more than 2 decades, and nothing has changed, nothing has altered. I even still prevail into ignorance and darkness. I don't know, is it going to happen or not? Are these texts, all these scriptures and the great masters, do they merely pass on consolation to someone who will never be able to bail out? Or do they hold some truth in their words when they say, no, keep going the same way. Sadhana, go on, continue in your pursuit, and you shall bail out, you shall emancipate. So, my mentioning is to clarify those three words, which otherwise give a very gloomy understanding. The comprehension, the common mind may not draw very gloomy. Come what may, I'm not going to succeed. The impel of the nature is so strong as a human. I am nothing. I stand nowhere. So to nullify that kind of a gloomy understanding, I just added on this new understanding along with. Let me come down to the verse. The verse is before you on YouTube. I'm sorry I'll not be able to bring it, the slide of the verse before you on the Facebook. So the text is also equally mentioned now these days in English. If you can't read the Sanskrit, you can associate yourself with the English part of it, which is, I'll have to read it in English over here for you. It says, Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrijami punah punah bhutagramam imam kritasnam avasham prakritehe vashat. Prakritim swam avashtabhya. I keep all control upon my program. That is the nature, Prakriti. I keep all control upon it. It's under my absolute control. Although the creator is absolutely disassociated by its program. Unlike humans, which remain attached to the program for updates, upgrades, new versions, patches, etc. Unlike that, a creator, through its resolve, created a program for eternity, all inclusive and conclusive. It is no more associated with it. It has got nothing to do with it. The word that we assign to that in Sanskrit of remaining absolutely away from it is nirlipta. Totally disassociated, disconnected is nirlipta. Now, then it says Visrijami Punah Punah. And when there is an opportune moment for the nature, the creation, the manifestation to undergo involution, after that the moment arrives, which again is a part of that same program. And what happened then? The entire creation unfolds under the impel of the program by itself the same way as it had gone a moment before absolute involution. I do not intervene. Everything has been programmed all inclusive and conclusively. I still don't intervene, even if it undergoes dissolution. It again shall unfold the same way. Visrijami Pune Pune. Again and again, not for once, even for eternity. If it happens countless times, again it is going to unfold the same way because it is an intrinsic feature of the programming which I have made. Bhutagramam imam kritasnam. Bhutagramam is the entire community of the creation, including mind, matter, consciousness, you name it, the entire community, the entirety of the community, everything falls into it. The mind comes into it and the matter comes into it. Except Atma, which is still entrapped as Jivatma, everything else falls under the ambit of the nature, Prakriti, the program. When I say nature, when I say Prakriti, understand it as the program under the resolve of the Creator. Avasham Prakate Vashat. These were the three words for which I became forced to give you an extended explanation upon that. Avasham means it is totally entrapped, enslaved. Enslaved. Who is enslaved? All beings along with the matter are enslaved. Enslaved under the strong impel and control, the clutches of the program. They cannot move beyond that. On the mortal plane, with the humans, when they create programs, the end user cannot forever. You have to satisfy yourself, whatever is available, I have to gratify with that. Unless the programmer introduces something new as a feature, I remain confined and entrapped. But unlike that, here as an end user with the resolve of the Creator, when I manifest as a human, I am vested with a very special excess prerogative power known as choice. By exercising that prerogative through my sadhana, countless failures, I can certainly evolve and acquire the capacity of the programmer by itself. End users cannot become programmers. Of course, there are few who are also programmers by profession, but not all of us as an end user. Whereas in this case, each and every soul which has come under the manifestation of this program is vested with the same prerogative to become the programmer itself. So when the Atma acquires its own independent stature as an Atma, not as an entrapped one as Jivatma, it becomes the programmer. As a programmer, it has exclusivity now. It can act as a creator with all control upon the principle of the nature, the forces of nature. It may intervene or it may not, but it acquires the same prerogative. All discretionary powers of the creator are then vested into them when they acquire the stature as an Atma. So, just to nullify the gloomy impact of Avasham Prakate Vashat, entrapped, enslaved under the impel of the nature, I wanted to nullify that. That is why I added an explanation to that. No, yet we as humans are vested with a prerogative to pierce through the ignorance that has cast its entrapment upon us, and that shall happen through countless failures known as sadhana. Sadhana means countless failures. And success is only once, siddhi. Success will only come one time, siddhi, when we shall bail out once and forever. Then lust will not come and impede. Then greed shall not come to intervene. Then no intrusions from any other kind of a propensity. No, it's gone once and forever. Atma, Paramatma, Swarupa. Then it acquires the same stature as the Creator under its resolve. Having said that, I'm done with this class upon this particular verse for today. More to come in the next class. And we have the classes on every second and last Sunday of the month. In Hindi, it is at 7:30 a.m. and in English, it is at 9 a.m. Till then, I take leave from you right now. Om hi satya hai. Om hi satya hai. Om hi satya hai.